What do Ryan Reynolds, Chris Pratt, and The Rock all have in common? They're not real actors, they're just famous. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in an epidemic of sameness. At this point, if The Rock showed up in a Victorian era drama, I swear he would still find a way to flex his biceps, crack a smile, and call someone brother. But he's not alone. Ryan Reynolds' whole career is now basically just one long monologue of self-aware sarcasm. Chris Pratt has turned every character he plays into a lovable idiot who always gets the girl. Awkwafina keeps being cast as the quirky Asian best friend. And Aubrey Plaza has been giving us the same deadpan snark since Parks and Rec. Even Jack Black, who, to be fair, is a great comedian, has been playing variations of Jack Black since the dawn of time. He's the goofy, random human cartoon character, and viewers eat it up every single time, even when they've already seen it 10 times before. And I'm just gonna say it. I am so tired of it. I'm tired of actors who only play themselves. I'm tired of Hollywood acting like charisma is the same thing as range. And I'm really tired of being told that I should be impressed by someone who plays the exact same character in every single movie and gets paid $20 million to do it. Let me just be clear, this isn't about hating the actors. I'm not coming for them as people, and hey, if I could make a fortune just playing myself in a Marvel movie, I probably would too. I get it. But at some point, we have to actually talk about what's happening here, because the more you look at the landscape of modern Hollywood, the more clear it gets. We are no longer rewarding acting, we're rewarding branding. And what's even more frustrating is that Hollywood is obsessed with these people, like truly obsessed. You would think that they're the only actors in the world right now. Every franchise reboot, every blockbuster, every lazy Netflix action comedy, they just rotate these handful of actors. We're not watching characters anymore, we're watching personalities. But here's the thing, acting is about transformation. You're supposed to forget that the actor exists for a second. You're not supposed to walk out of a film saying, wow, The Rock really nailed being The Rock in that jungle movie. You're supposed to say, wow, I forgot that was The Rock. He was totally someone else. But when was the last time that happened? And I know some people will argue, well, they're just playing to their strengths, and sure, typecasting has always existed, but what we're seeing now is completely different. It's not just about repeating a certain type of role, it's about abandoning the idea of a character altogether. The role doesn't shape the actor anymore, the actor reshapes every role to fit their own pre-existing persona. And I think we've been trained to think that's enough, to accept it and not even question it. We've been so oversaturated with these one-note performances that we've forgotten what real range even looks like, what real acting feels like. We deserve better, cinema deserves better, and until then, I'm just gonna keep saying it. I am sick and tired of actors who just play themselves in every single role. Let's start by answering the question that probably popped into your head whilst watching the intro, which is why? Why does Hollywood keep doing this? Why are the same handful of actors playing the same role in different outfits over and over again and still somehow booking every major role? The short answer is easy. Money. The long answer is a little more depressing. You see, Hollywood doesn't run on creativity anymore, it runs on certainty. Studios are terrified of taking risks, especially in an era where a single flop can tank a production company or get an executive fired. So they cling to what's familiar. Familiar faces, familiar performances, familiar formulas. And that's exactly what actors like Mark Wahlberg, Vin Diesel, and Jennifer Aniston all have in common. These actors are brands. Not in they have a cool personal style and a line of skincare kind of way, though sometimes, yes, they have that too, but I'm talking about the marketing sense type of way. They are walking, talking franchises. I mean, when you cast The Rock, you're not just getting an actor, you're getting a built-in audience, millions of social media followers, and most importantly, you're getting a guarantee. You already know what his performance will look like before the cameras even start rolling. And for studio executives, that's comforting, that's safe. It's like ordering the same sandwich every time you go to Subway. You might not be blown away, but at least you won't be disappointed. And when you're gambling hundreds of millions of dollars, not disappointed starts to sound pretty good. So these actors become a part of a kind of creative algorithm. Think about how many times you've seen a trailer and immediately clocked the entire tone of the movie just by seeing who's in it. If Ryan Reynolds is there, it's gonna be sarcastic and probably include some fourth wall breaks. If it's Chris Pratt, he'll probably be the lovable doofus who becomes the unlikable unlikely hero. These are like their cute little character traits, and once you notice it, it is impossible to unsee. Let's talk about Jack Black for a second, because he's honestly one of the clearest case studies in all of this. Of course, we all know that Jack Black seems like a genuinely delightful human being. He's funny, high energy, and chaotic in a way that makes you feel like he's the human equivalent of a sugar rush. He doesn't take himself too seriously, and in a world of Hollywood egos, that's actually refreshing. But here's the thing, Jack Black never stops being Jack Black. Ever. No matter what role he's in, it's always the same set of expressions, the same rhythm in his voice, the same unpredictable, borderline cartoonish mannerisms. And nowhere is that more obvious than in The School of Rock. In The School of Rock, he plays a character called Dewey Finn, a washed-up musician who fakes his way into a teaching job and ends up turning a class of private school kids into a rock band. And look, let's be clear, this is arguably one of his most iconic roles for a reason. The movie is endlessly quotable, genuinely funny, and emotionally warm in a way that hits you right in the nostalgic feels. But Dewey Finn is Jack Black. That role was made for him. It was written around him. It's essentially just a lightly fictionized version of his real life self. Passionate about music, unpredictable, immature in a lovable way, and constantly bouncing off the walls. He wasn't transforming into a character, he was being the most Jack Black he could possibly be. Now fast forward 20 years to the Minecraft movie, and Jack Black is playing the character of Steve. When this casting was first announced, fans of the game were very confused because Steve is a silent, emotionless character. So why is Jack Black playing him? Steve literally has no personality. He's a blank slate, which could have been a really cool opportunity for the studio to craft something new and interesting from that. But instead, an executive said, hey, let's get Jack Black in here and have him do what he always does. Of course he built the character around his loud and goofy persona, with his silly voice and physical comedy. Yes, it's entertaining, yes, it will probably make people laugh, but it's not acting. It's just Jack Black doing Jack Black again. And now, let's talk about the king of playing himself, Mr. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. The Rock is probably the ultimate example of this phenomenon because at this point, his public persona is just his brand. He's the motivational gym guy, the hardest worker in the room, the guy who wakes up at 4 a.m, lifts weights for 3 hours, only eats boiled eggs, chicken, and rice, and then shoots 6 different movies all in the same day. But this all pays off because people really love The Rock. They trust him, he feels safe. But when you really watch his movies, something strange happens. You realize that he's not acting at all, he's just posing. Let's take a look at Jumanji. In this film, The Rock plays Dr. Smolder Bravestone, an in-game avatar who's actually being controlled by a nerdy teenage boy. At first glance, this should have been the perfect opportunity to do something new, to play out of his type and get weird. But what happens instead? The Rock just ends up playing The Rock. Sure, he throws in a few awkward stutters at the beginning to remind us that he's actually a teenage boy trapped in a muscly adult body, but that quickly fades away and we're left with exactly what we always get. It's the same guy from Fast and Furious, the same guy from Rampage, and the same guy from Red Notice. The Rock doesn't act, he just exists on camera, flexing his biceps and lifting that iconic eyebrow. I was gonna say it's the same guy in different outfits, but he literally wears the same outfit in every film. So you have people like The Rock who have never actually acted in their entire acting career, but then you have people like Ryan Reynolds who did put in some effort in the beginning. He started out doing genuinely charming romantic comedies and indie roles, but once Deadpool hit, it was like someone flipped a switch and said, cool, just do that forever. What's frustrating is that there are thousands of insanely talented actors who are just dying for a chance to break through, but we don't see them because the industry isn't looking for chameleons anymore, it's looking for personalities. They want people who can sell a brand, who can be marketable, and they can print on a movie poster and have everyone know who it is. That's why every time there's a new Marvel movie, you already know who's gonna be on the shortlist because it's the same group of people that get recycled every time. We've created a Hollywood ecosystem where performing well is less important than performing consistently, and that is so dangerous because if we keep rewarding sameness, we're gonna lose lose something vital, something that used to be the whole point of watching movies in the first place. That moment of realization, that disbelief, that excitement of witnessing someone fully transform into their character. That's what's missing from Hollywood movies today, that thrill of discovery, that sense of wonder. Let's just stop and be honest for a second, because we throw around the word good a lot when it comes to acting, but what does that actually mean? Is it about whether a performance is believable? Is it about emotional range, crying on cue, winning an Oscar? Or is it something more invisible, something you can't quite define, but you know it when you see it? Here's the truth, good acting isn't just one thing, it's a combination of so many things. A skill set, a discipline, a kind of emotional magic trick that looks effortless on the outside, but is built on layers of craft, training, and vulnerability. That's the key difference between a star who plays themselves and a true actor. You have to be able to transform. Just think about someone like Gary Oldman. You look at his filmography and it's almost hard to believe that it's the same person. He's played a punk rocker, a corrupt cop, Dracula, Winston Churchill, Sirius Black. All of them wildly different, yet all of them are believable. So how does he do it? Well, it's because Gary Oldman doesn't just learn the lines, he studies the character. He invents a voice, a posture, all the psychological makeup. He becomes the person in a way that goes beyond makeup and costume. It can even be something so small, like giving the character a limp or a stutter. It's about inhabiting someone else's reality so fully that the audience forgets who they're watching. That is acting. And yet Hollywood has shifted so far away from that ideal that we now expect actors to bring themselves into the role. Studios don't just want someone to play the part, they want them to play the part as themselves with just a few little tweaks. A little quirkier, a little more funny. Just let your personality shine. And the result is a wave of performances that are charming, sure, but so shallow. But charm is not the same as acting, and there is a reason why people are either labeled a character actor or a personality actor. Think about it like this, okay? So acting is about truth, not personal truth, but character truth. Can you understand the psychology of a person completely different from yourself and bring them to life with honesty? Can you embody someone you don't agree with or even don't like and still make them feel real? That's not easy, and that's why some of the best actors in the world aren't as famous, because they don't care about the glitz and the glamour, they just care about being a damn good actor. Take Daniel Day-Lewis, for example. The man is famous for how he fully becomes his characters. When he played Lincoln, he spoke in Lincoln's voice for months off camera leading up to the role. He didn't do this for a bit of fun, he did it because he understands something that most modern actors don't. You can't fake authenticity, not at the level that it actually matters. You either put in the work or you don't. That's the kind of dedication we used to reward. And it's not about going method either, because unpopular opinion, but I really dislike method acting as a whole. If you have to live as a character for 3 years just to play it well, then I'm sorry, but I don't think you're a good actor. Austin Butler. No, but seriously, I know he's a good actor and he did a really good job in the role, but I think if anyone applied themselves for 3 years, they would be able to nail it. I mean, there's literally a famous saying about how it only takes 10,000 hours to fully master something. A lot of people in the industry, especially actresses, have spoken against method acting, saying that it's just a thing that male actors do and it's basically a bunch of BS. I feel like this is because women naturally have more empathy, so they're able to understand what a character would be feeling, even though they haven't experienced it themselves. So men might just struggle with that a little bit more, and that's why they have to live as the character. But I just still think that's a bit of an excuse. Don't get me wrong, I'm not talking about the people who practice an accent for a month and get ready for the role, that's completely fine. But I'm talking about the people like Jared Leto, who sent dead rats to his co-stars on the set of Suicide Squad. Jared, you're not getting into the character of the Joker, you are just sick in the head. But anyway, that is a whole separate conversation, so let's get back on track. Great acting doesn't always mean going off the deep end emotionally, it's also about restraint, about being subtle and knowing when not to show everything. Look at someone like Frances McDormand. She doesn't play characters loudly, she plays them honestly. And that quiet confidence in her craft is part of what makes her so magnetic. Another huge part of what makes a good actor is range. Range is the ability to move between characters, tones, and styles without losing believability. Think of actors like Toni Collette or Christian Bale. You could put them in a horror, a drama, a comedy, a period piece, and they would adjust. They don't just copy and paste the same performance into a new setting, they calibrate their energy and adapt. The problem with actors who just play themselves is that they can't adapt, or maybe they could if they tried, but Hollywood has never asked them to. They get so typecast into their own persona that breaking out of it would feel like career sabotage. And that is not how you build a legacy. When we look back at some of the greatest actors of all time, we don't remember them for being themselves, we remember them for becoming other people. Meryl Streep, Philip Seymour Hoffman, Viola Davis, Anthony Hopkins, Cate Blanchett. These are actors who can make you believe anything because they never let you see them. They always prioritize the story over their own brand. So why don't we celebrate that more? Well, part of that, honestly, is because we as audiences have changed too. Social media has made it so hard for actors to disappear because we're constantly reminded of who they are in real life. We see their behind the scenes videos, their interviews, their pets, their skincare routines. And while that can be charming, it also makes it harder to separate the actor from the role. And that's the problem, because great acting requires invisibility. If you're constantly thinking, oh, that's The Rock, then you're never fully immersed. We've also been kind of trained to root for these personality actors. They try so hard to make them feel like our friends that they end up getting away with their same old performances because people defend it and say, but he's so fun, but she's hilarious. And yeah, they are, but that doesn't mean they're great actors, they're just likable. And here's the harsh truth, okay? Being likable isn't hard, but being believable is. Being someone else fully and convincingly, that is the hard part. And that is what we're losing. When studios keep casting the same 5 actors over and over again, it's not just boring, it's gatekeeping. Hollywood would rather put Ryan Reynolds in his 30th sarcastic role than give someone unknown a real chance. Studios will always go for the predictable, easy option because they don't want to take risks. In short term, sure, that works, but in long term, that is creatively bankrupt. Think about how many breakout stars we've missed because studios won't look beyond their go-to list of personalities. I mean, we could have had another Viola Davis, another Philip Seymour Hoffman, another Heath Ledger, but they will never be cast. They will never be seen because the role was created for someone with 50 million Instagram followers. And what's so ironic is that many of the legends that we do respect today, that we consider serious actors, only became icons because someone took a risk on them. Meryl Streep wasn't always Meryl Streep. Denzel Washington wasn't always Denzel Washington. Their talent didn't come with brand recognition, it came from performances that force people to notice. But that kind of rise is just getting harder and harder because when the machine only invests in safe bets, it stops looking for the next generation of greats. That genuinely terrifies me because if we keep going down this path, I fear that we will lose storytelling as a whole. When you cast someone like The Rock or Jack Black in a movie, you're not just telling a story, you're telling their story again and again. That limits the kinds of stories you can even tell in the first place. You can't make a gritty emotional character study starring someone who refuses to stop winking at the camera. You can't make a deeply human drama around someone whose entire brand is being the tough guy. When you cast someone who just plays themselves, you're not just building the character around them, you're building the entire movie, and that changes the tone of everything. That's why so many modern blockbusters feel like they were made by AI. Not because the story is bad, but because the performances are predictable. It's hard to lose yourself in a movie when the lead is acting the same way they did in the last 5 films. There's no surprise, no depth, just rinse and repeat. And yeah, sure, not every movie needs to be Interstellar. Not every actor has to deliver a Shakespearean monologue in the middle of a serious war film. Some movies are just meant to be fun. I get that, I love a good popcorn movie. But when every film starts to feel like it was cast using a BuzzFeed personality quiz, that's a problem. Because art doesn't survive by playing it safe, it survives by taking risks. And ironically, what Hollywood is doing right now is also the most dangerous because it tells upcoming actors, don't bother trying to be great, just build up a following on TikTok. It tells writers and directors, don't write complex characters, write roles that Pedro Pascal can fit into. And it tells audiences, don't expect more, just keep paying for the same thing. But what if we did start expecting more? What if we stopped settling and went to go support projects that took chances on lesser known actors? The best actors in history, the ones we still study, still quote, and still cry over, weren't just talented. They were brave and they took took risks. They became their characters in a way that left no trace of themselves behind. That's the bar, and if we keep rewarding performances that barely skim the floor, then that bar is gonna keep sinking. We deserve better, our stories deserve better, and quite frankly, the actors do too. Because I truly believe that some of the actors I dragged into this video could be better, I really do. I know that The Rock is starring in an upcoming A24 movie, and it looks like he's completely transformed for the role, and I really hope he does well. We've seen this type of change before with Adam Sandler when he starred in the A24 film Uncut Gems, which was the complete opposite of the types of movies he was used to doing. I know it's a little bit different because Adam Sandler is a good actor just in the comedy genre, but still, I think he was fantastic in this switch and he blew everyone away. So I hope we can say the same for The Rock, but I guess we just have to wait and see. So maybe the change starts with us, the viewers. We can demand more than just personality actors, and we can show up and support real cinema. If we celebrate transformation instead of just personality, then maybe, just maybe, the industry will follow. So no, I'm not saying that every actor needs to win an Oscar or every movie has to be an emotional gut punch, but can we please just at least agree that acting should still be about, well, acting? Not just showing up, not just doing the same thing you always do but in a different shirt, or the same shirt, because we've seen what great acting looks like, and it doesn't come from playing yourself. It comes from disappearing and making the audience see something new. Those are the kind of movies that I want to watch, and those are the kind of performances that I show up for. And if Hollywood's listening, then maybe it's time to stop casting based on Instagram followers and start casting based on who's actually willing to be someone else. Because that is what acting is supposed to be. But ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Comment down below the actor who you think has the worst case of just playing themselves. I cannot wait to read the comments. And if you made it this far, comment the word Oscar so I know who the real ones are. I'll be liking those comments. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you guys so much for 30,000 subscribers. I can't even express how grateful I am, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!